Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run, the Devil's Lair with Stasis Warlock. For my subclass I'll be using Shadebinder. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using in this video. For the kinetic, I'll be using the famous Wish Ender. Next I'll be using a Void Scout, Vouchsafe, and the heavy will be Taipan or Taipan. This is going to be the mini build of the Stasis subclass. This week I decided to go for the Stasis and with Wish Ender. I'll tell you why, but before my poor horrible Sparrow, which I hit an invisible wall, I'll be skipping the first champion. There is a bug where you can skip one champion in this Nightfall and still get Platinum. If you don't believe me, just watch the end of the video and you'll see Platinum rank. So this is going to be mostly focused on Stasis and Wish Ender. Now the reason why I'm not using any other exotics is because I was trying it out. But Button G servers was offline. Alright, it was offline for a really long time and I just didn't have time to wait any longer. I only had less than an hour to get a run done. And then I had to go work on personal life stuff, all those goody stuff, because I'm not a streamer. This is not my full-time job. And this YouTube stuff doesn't cover my phone bills, house, all those goody stuff, life stuff. Because I only had less than an hour to get a run done, it was just stressing me out a little bit. I had no choice but to use Wish Ender. I wanted to use an interesting exotic, but because Bungie was offline for a long time and I just don't have time to wait and wait and wait, I just could not have the patience to wait the next day and then work on it because I have other stuff I need to do. So if you guys notice, before I was taking down the barrier champion, if you are using the stasis turret build, then you can easily freeze the barrier champions, and the stasis turret can stagger the upload champions. Now, when using the scout rifle, I do recommend using a fast scout rifle with explosive payload. I would say Randy's would be an amazing choice, but it is kinetic slot. But for this one, I decided to use Vouchsafe because of the Void Surge for this week. The surges actually change rotately every week, so you'll definitely will be having the Strand Surge and then the Void Surge. But throughout this whole season will be Arc Surge. I do recommend just going for the Arc Warlock or probably Void Walker Warlock if it is Void Surge. And the reason why is because, well, your kinetic weapon, Wish Ender, or any kinetic exotic, you won't get the overcharge buff of 25%. So that means that if you are on Stasis subclass right now as we speak, you're not going to do that much damage on the Wish Ender. Now Wish Ender is still powerful even without the overcharge, which proves over here in this footage. But the problem is this, which I hate to say this, but believe me, it's the harsh truth. The Stasis subclasses isn't really that strong on GMs. Now, I have tested this out on the beginning of the Nightfall a month ago with the Hunter with the Stasis Tornado. I was trying to do a build on Devil's Lair a long time ago, and then also testing with the exotic kinetic Agar Scepter. It was doing decent damage. I wanted to go for the Warlock, but it was just so much work with the auto rifle issues. And then I was also switching with my Hunter and trying out the Tornado. And it wasn't killing the Overload Champion. Isn't that shocking? Yeah, it wasn't killing the Overload Champion with the Stasis Super for the Hunter. So think about this. I mean, if it's not taking down the Overload Champion on Devil's Lair, how is a super for Warlock even going to do anything with Overload Champions? with the Warlock, with the stasis subclass. The only good thing about the stasis Warlock is you can clear ads. You can also do decent amount of damage with the barrier champions, only one of them. Or you can do half damage of one barrier champion and then use your super and then focus on dealing with the one champion, then back away and dealing with the second one, because we all know how the barrier champions love to huddle up. So that's my issue with the stasis subclasses, but it's no one's fault. It's this season. This season, Bungie forces you to use ARC subclasses because of artifact mods, and Void, and sometimes Strand subclasses. I mean, that's how it is. Alright, I did want to go for the Strand Warlock, but I already did a Strand Warlock subclass. And I did want to go for Titan, but the problem is that they still disabled utility Kickstart, disable the mods that I really like to use on my Titan for the arms. So the build of my ARC Titan is not going to be as efficient as I want it to be. So for me, there was just no point in me going on Titan since those mods are not available. I want to do something fun with the ARC subclass for Titan, Thunder Crash, Striker, all those goody stuff. But it's not going to work because all these mods are not available. And I just don't want to try harder to make it work because it's not worth my time. Now during this phase of mini waves we see here, there are 3 waves. You must take down the other champions, but since you are using Wish Ender, not an auto rifle, this is probably the most easiest part of the entire Nightfall, because you're using Wish Ender, you can take down the sniper so easily. And the reason why this part is slow is because I'm using stasis turrets. I'm not using the arc pulse grenades, which maybe I should have used, or the shackle of the Warlock Strand. Or if I was on Titan, I would just spam my arc storm grenades over and over with a certain build, because I do know that they nerfed the storm grenades for Titan, though they also nerfed the exotic chest plate for the Titan, Heart of the Most Light. But it's still good if you have the right build, and if you do some little tweaks on the mods. It's actually not so bad, the build of just using a grenade spam for the Titan. But the problem is this: they disable utility Kickstart, they disable certain mods that you need for the Titan to make it work. Because I could go on Titan, but it's still going to be slow and boring, and it's not going to be efficient. And I wanted the Titan run to be efficient for me, for footage for that. But because it's not available, I've been waiting for a month. I don't know how long have I been waiting for utility Kickstart. And then they also disabled these other mods recently, which really just shook my head. I just look at the controller, look at the TWID, or it was TWAB, look at everything. I just say, wow, this is not looking good this season. It is absolutely horrendous this season. So before we start the second wave, it is 0 out of 3. Once you see first wave, just pull back. I mean, you could go to the opposite direction, but I just couldn't bother myself going to that direction where we can spawn kill the ads. You could do that. I mean, it would be nice for the Warlock, or of course the subclass I'm using, but I just thought I'd just stand back here and then just spam Wish Ender. We do want to make the barrier champion to spawn right away, so you must take down the wizard, at least one of them or 2 of them. But the best part is Wish Ender will help you out dealing with these wizards, so you don't have to worry too much of them running away and moving around so much. If you guys notice, I am using a different fragment. I'm not using the charge fragment. I know that now they have a mod available where you can make the shards into armor charge. Yes, I know that. But I'm not really using the shards aspect because I use it so many times and it's just starting to get a little bit dull. Now, people forget about the pulse rift for the stasis subclass. So when you do pop a rift, then all your surroundings will freeze. It is actually not so bad weapon. They actually upgraded the aspect, because back in the day, you only can use 3 fragments if you're using this aspect where you pop the Healing Rift or Empowering Rift, and then you can get enemies freeze around your rift when they are close by. Now it is 4. You can use 4 fragments instead of 3. So that's why I was using this one instead of the shards build. Plus, I already used it so many times with the shards build, and I just decided to try out the pulse, the aspect where you pop a Healing Rift and then you get a freeze. You get this ice where it can freeze enemies when it's close by. If I did have utility kickstart, you know, this would actually be pretty fun build. But because it's disabled and I can't use it, and I've been waiting for a month to use it, and I'm not really sure how I can defend the game at this point, because I was really waiting for it to be available for my Warlock, because I had this cool idea with the stasis exotic build, but it's not gonna work out, and I just don't have the patience, and it's just horrible. I mean, what? I don't understand. This season is just really bad. My gosh. I mean, besides the underworld, there's just so much things that could have had more opportunities to make it more interesting, more fun. But now we're just going to deal with Overload Champions, so make sure you throw your stasis turret a little bit closer to you. I should not have thrown the stasis turret far away, because it was just making this run much more slower, so my bad for that. Later on, we will deal with the Brigs and the spider tank. I will time skip up DPS of me dealing with it, because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste my time. Let's just be honest with that. I just want to get to the point for the commentary version. But you could just stand here, and then if there are snipers close by, if you see them, just use Wish Enter. This spot where I'm standing is probably the safest. You can also go from the left side, from the wall, and do some DPS with the Shanks or with the Fallen ads. If I was on a Arc Warlock, I would just spam my Arc Pulse Grenades and just go for that method. But since we're on Stasis, Warlock, and the run's going to be pretty slow, you know, this run could be a 30-minute run or less than 30 minutes, but unfortunately, I'm not an Arc Warlock for this footage. Now, funny story, I actually forgot about this Grandmaster. I thought I did all the solo GMs, and then later I looked at my playlist, and it said that I was missing Devil's Lair. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. See, the reason why I forgot was because there was a lot of work this week. I had 2 weddings, and then I also had to work on my birthday, and I was just extremely busy and tired, and I completely forgot about it. So you're probably thinking, what the Bungie is going on, Blitz? Well, this is going to be really fun for me. Well, for you, but not for me. I'm trying to make the stasis turret to freeze only one Overload champion. The problem with using the stasis turret is sometimes with the scout and with the stasis turret combined, the Overload champion can sometimes be awkward where they're just going to teleport and then regain their health sometimes. And it could be extremely awkward, so you can see over here, proof here. My stasis turret and with the combo of the scout rifle, it was working, and sometimes it doesn't work. And then when the stasis turret is gone, then for some reason the Overload champion just regains his health. Even though I'm consistently precision shot of doing DPS with the Overload champion, with the scout rifle, and it's not consistent. So because of this problem, there are times where I have to really take down the Overload champion fast. So I was trying to do another test over here to see what's going on. Why is this Overload champion acting weird when the stasis turret disappears? I tried my best to try to take down this Overload champion with the stasis turret, and then make sure I do precision shots and not mess around with Overload champion. But yeah, sometimes it works with the stasis and scout. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's really awkward. Extremely weird. But the best thing I could think of is when the stasis turret is close to a champion like this, just use your linear. Like, why bother yourself even just using a scout of the turret? It just takes so long. See, if I was on Arc Warlock, I would just throw my Arc Pulse Grenade and then just linear away. You know, I wouldn't really waste time, and then my Arc Soul will do some DPS. And that's basically what I would do. I would definitely just use Arc Warlock. It's way more easier, and it's more fun. But the problem is this, I already use a Arc Warlock build, and I wanted to use a different exotic, but at the same time, why? Why not use Wish Ender? It's the meta. I mean, there are other weapons you can use. Yes, I understand that. But the problem is this. Here's the pros and the cons. The cons is that the run's going to be more longer and hideous. So why not use meta weapons for this season? And this is not your fault, by the way. This is the game's fault. This is the game's fault of the artifact mods they chose for this season of having Barrier Champion only auto rifle. Then you only have Ariana's Vow. And then you have Wish Ender. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is one more for Barrier. I just can't remember at the moment. But it's just so limited this season. I mean, yes, you could use Stasis Turret to deal with the Barrier Champions. Yes, you could deal with the Unstoppable Champions with the Stasis Turret with the Warlock. Yes, you can deal with the Overload Champions with the Stasis. But you have to be consistent and take them down fast, or it's just not going to work out. I mean, the Stasis Turret is not going to by itself take down the Overload Champion. You have to use certain weapons, strong weapons, to deal with the Overload Champions with the combo Stasis Turret. That's why I use Wish Ender, and that's why I use the Linear Fusion. I mean, yes, I could use Aggro Scepter or other weapons, but the problem is just so much time. I mean, is it worth it? Is it even worth of making a build for that? I already did a Aggro Scepter video a long time ago. It's not like I never done it ever in my life. Alright, I have done it so many times on my past videos, and I feel like sometimes people forget that I have done creative loadouts in the past. But because Destiny is in a bad state at the moment, ever since Nightfall was released, and GMs are a little different, I mean, I have no choice but to use meta weapons to make the run more, a little bit more efficient. And like I said, it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's the game's fault. They want to make this more difficult. Well, I would say they just want to make the Grandmasters more tanky, so your weapons can be a sponge. They just want you to have a longer time dealing with nightfalls and then dungeons. They want to make dungeons like mini raids, which I don't like and I disagree. I think dungeons shouldn't be that long, and I think it should be fast and efficient. I don't mean like a speed run, but a dungeon should take around 30 minutes, not 2 hours or an hour 30 minutes just because you're in a low artifact power. And then because you're in a low artifact power, you're not going to do that much damage compared to other players. And I don't like that. I hate that. That is horrible. So for this one, we're going to deal with all these snipers, dregs. I want to make sure I take down these snipers. There are snipers from far distance. Not this one, but the one from the right side. I did take all of them down, but make sure you do take them down before you deal with these gold snipers or these resistant vandals. Because the vandals from the right side, a little close by, they're the ones that can send you back to orbit. That one, for example. So during this part, I was being extremely reckless. I threw the turret at the wrong time. What was supposed to happen was I was supposed to throw a turret a little bit closer to me, so the Overlord champion can walk by, be aggressive, and then I can take him down with the Sky Rifle. But because I was extremely careless and I totally forgot of how this Overlord champion works, now I have to waste time and then just make this Overlord champion move. And he was being awkward, so he usually walks up forward from the right side, well, from the left side. But because I use stasis turret now, he knows that I'm going to try to trick him and he's not going to push, which is a nightmare for me. So make sure when you are using your stasis turret, if you are planning to use stasis build, but I do recommend just use an arc Warlock build. Why not? I mean, it's way more easier, trust me. Your stasis this season is really bad. Really bad. It's not that great. It looks great. People make build videos that it is amazing, but it's actually not that good for solo GMs. Maybe for fire team, yeah. For fire team, yes, it's fun, but if you're trying to solo, then you're gonna realize it's not that great. For this season, I mean next season, maybe they're gonna do some tweaks. We'll see what's gonna happen next season or the following, which I don't have any, I would say, I'm not really looking forward to next season because every season seems to get worse and worse. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel. So during this part, I was actually testing the Barrier Champion to see if it is going to be taken down. But because Overlord Champion decided to be a bungee, as usual, I had to ditch the Barrier Champion, throw a turret, and then deal with this Overlord Champion. Make sure you don't pass this line or past this rock or this hill. You don't want the Brigs to spawn yet. The boring Brigs. I mean, they're really tanky and boring. I mean, if I was using Chaos Reach with Soul, Arc Soul, you know, I would take them down much more quicker than this video, but unfortunately I can't do that. I had to do the boring way, which I'm not a fan of, but unfortunately that's how it works in this when you are in a different subclass. Plus the surges are not really working for me besides the void. Besides the linear, I am getting a 25 buff because of the void surge, but with the stasis, and that means that my Wish Ender is not going to be that strong. But it doesn't really matter so much because the Wish Ender is still strong even without the overcharge. It would just make the run a little bit more faster if I was using a different subclass. And if I did get the buff for the kinetic, but it's alright, things happen. So now I'm going to throw my stasis turret so I can deal with this Overlord, well, the Barrier Champion. I almost called it a baby Barrier Champion. Now this only works with Wish Ender. I wouldn't recommend using this on an auto rifle unless you're on PC and you can somehow do damage from far distance from that angle. Then go for it, but on console, no way. So I would say it only works on Wish Ender. And I was testing it to see if it does work, and it works, so I was happy for that. Now we get to deal with the most boring part throughout this entire video because we're in a bad subclass. If I was on a Arc subclass and used these artifact mods, you know, this would be pretty interesting because I would use Chaos Reach, I would spam a lot of Arc Pulse grenades, but since I can't do that, we're just gonna stand here and deal with the Brig. So because I'm a nice person and I just don't want to waste people's time, I'm gonna do a mini time skip of dealing with this Brig. You just throw a stasis and then you just bow away and bow away, or Wish Ender away. After this Brig was becoming a psychopath, I had to back away from this building. And we're going to deal with the next Brig. The next Brig isn't really that threatening. All you have to do for this stasis is just throw a stasis turret. Or if you want to go on Warlock, Arc Warlock, you just Chaos Reach or just spam the Arc Pulse grenades. So I'm going to do another mini time skip because this is really boring and I don't want to waste people's time or your time for this. After just wish endering away this brig, now we can deal with the spider tank. So spider tank isn't actually that bad. All you have to do is just use your bow, use your linear, spam your linear, and then just bow away. Now I could throw my stasis turret from that angle, but I don't think it's gonna make it unless I had the mod where it can throw grenades far distance. But why? You know, no one really uses that mod. Let's just be completely honest. So one thing you could do is that if the ship is approaching, you can actually use your wish ender to take down the turrets. So I decided to take down the turrets because they usually shoot me when I'm trying to take down the spider tank. This is just a little tip for people if you're wondering if you can take down the ship. Yes, you can. So I'm going to do a mini time skip here. Once I take down this walker, now we can actually deal with these additional ads and these invisible fallens, which you can one-shot them with the bow. My first objective is to take down the Overlord champion, and I'm just going to quickly go to the opposite direction. I did pop a healing rift, so anything close by will freeze enemies, so that was pretty cool, to be honest. I did not know that invisible fallen was going to try to one-shot me or two-shot me. But because I was using this aspect fragment, it froze and I could take him down with wish ender. That's why I didn't want to use the shard fragment because, well, I already used it so many times, might as well use something else. So the stasis turret was close by to the Overlord champion. So now we can deal with the snipers. So one little tip is that if you do want to take down the snipers, the gold bars, before taking down the tank, you can take down the gold snipers or the resistant vandals and then take down the spider. So during this section, I just want to clear as much ads as I can. And then I'm going to pull back. I just did this so I can just make sure I deal with all these ads. And also, I do recommend to pull back a little bit more. I'm not sure why I went to this spot. This spot is not that safe because of Overlord champions, they can push. The fallen ads can push. It's really awkward in this spot. Make sure you pull back a little bit more and not stand on the spot where I am. Because this area is not that safe. But I was just being reckless, and because I remembered I was on Warlock, right, I just wanted to spam healing thrifts, and I thought I'll be safe over here. Later on, I did pull back and realize this is not the spot where I'm supposed to stand. But because I was being greedy, and I just did not want to bother myself dealing with this Devil's Lair. I was just being reckless. I just wanted to get this done and over it. I was a bit annoyed because the game was still kind of filled with codes, and that's why I say never stand in this spot. Overlord champions sometimes can get aggressive and then they'll try to push and try to take you down with the solar attack. It can two-shot you or one-shot you depending how close you are with the Overlord champion. I do recommend just take your time and then use your linear. You can combo with the arc, scout, and then linear fusion rifle. Now, for some reason, Devil's Lair, the overcharge is actually linear fusion. So that's another reason why I was using a linear fusion rifle. But I do recommend just using Taipan because Taipan has triple tap. If you craft it, you can just have so much ammo when dealing with the champions. And I think it's such a unique weapon and very lovely. So I definitely just use that instead of Storm Chaser. I mean, Storm Chaser is good. It's a good weapon, but on console, it's just a nightmare. And when you're trying to do precision shots from far distance, it's not gonna work. For example, like the Walker. For the Walker, it's just nearly impossible to do precision shots on console. And that's the truth. It's a harsh truth, but it's true. I have tried it out a long time ago. It doesn't work. It's frustrating. That's why I didn't use Storm Chaser. I just prefer using Taipan. We can finally get to the boss fight. Finally. I'm so happy. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the boss fight, and then I'm gonna deal with 2 Overload champions. Yes, 2 Overload champions, and then the last 2 Overload champions at the boss fight. So I actually did have some problems with the stasis subclass because the stasis turret was really awkward when trying to deal with the Overload champions, because remember, the scout rifle on its own sometimes becomes awkward and doesn't want to make the Overload champion stay in one spot, which is why Le Monarch wins everything. Even though they nerfed Le Monarch, you could still make the Overload champion to stand still, and you could do DPS with a combo of linear fusion rifle. Now, I could have used Le Monarch over Wish Ender. That is another alternate weapon you can use for the Stasis Warlock. I just decided to use Wish Ender because I never actually used it ever on Devil's Lair. Because I always use Le Monarch, and I have used Agar Scepter, and I have used other weapons, but never Wish Ender. And I know Wish Ender is the meta, and people are sick of people using it, but like I said, this is the game's fault. This is not my fault. Like I said in my previous videos, for creative loadouts for this season since Nightfall, it just takes triple the amount of time to make creative loadouts, and it just takes a long time. Here, I'll give you an example for people who are new. Like the corrupted video. I did a solo on the worst scout rifle ever with 3 stasis surges. And it had a weird odd bug, so I was consistently getting the 21% damage buff. Now the question is, was people interested? No, because the weapon is horrible. People prefer meta weapons. People want to see meta weapons over creative loadouts for this season and since Nightfall. That's how I see it. Now I know people would disagree with me, but it just shows proof. I did the run as a test to see if people are into creative loadouts this season or not. And it looks like this season people just want meta weapons, meta subclasses. They don't care about using other exotic weapons. Not so much, not really. Because they know, most people know that if you're using different exotics, different non-meta weapons, it's going to take a longer run. And it's going to be a lot of practice, a lot of tests, all this goody stuff. And for me, if it's not worth their time, then it's not worth my time of doing something interesting. Now, I have done creative loadouts back in the day, you know, before Nightfall, and I was trying to do some creative loadouts for Nightfall, but then they changed the difficulty and GMs. They made it more boring, and honestly, I don't think anyone. I think this season is just getting worse and worse. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't even checked how many people are online for this season. But my gosh, this season has so many opportunities. What happened to Saphathan Song? What happened? I thought Titan was coming back. I knew this season was going to get bad. By the time when I saw Saphathan Song wasn't available, and when I saw Battlegrounds and Titan wasn't coming back, I knew this season was going to be bad. I knew it. So for this section, make sure you go underground and use linear fusion rifle. You want to make sure you make this adorable servitor to spawn these cute, adorable, lovable baby servitors that have this purple, adorable shield. Then the only good thing that they changed is a shield. So the matchmaking is gone forever, for what it seems. Because the shield matching is gone, right? Now you can use any weapon to break the void shield. You don't have to use certain weapons to break the shield faster. You could just use Wish Ender and just take 3 hits instead of 8 hits or 10 hits. And you can easily just take down these cute, adorable baby servitors. They're just so cute. They're so adorable. But make sure you take them down before dealing with the ads. Try your best because they're the ones that kind of do splash damage on your guardian. But it's so adorable. You just want to Wish Ender it. But Blitz, what about Lead Monarch? Well, I'm not even using Lead Monarch. Because I did make jokes of when I use a Lead Monarch, I just say I just want a Lead Monarch with the bow. But since I'm not using that weapon, which is an amazing weapon, I'm not going to say it's a bad weapon. Amazing Overload Champions. We're using Wish Ender, so we're going to Wish Ender the baby cute servitors. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the dungeon of Grass of Arise when we had to break the fallen shield and then we kill these baby cute servitors and we just use their corpse to break the shield from the mini cannon or this teleporter and they're like, woo! And then they explode. It's just so cute. Okay, that's so mean. I know I shouldn't say those things, but it's true. That's basically what you do in the dungeon. You're gonna kill adorable servitors and torture them and make them break the fallen shield from the dungeon. That's what I see in the pirate room. So for the next phase to spawn or to be active, you must take down these cute, adorable baby servitors. They're just so cute. You know what's funny? I should get a plush of them. They're just so cute. I just never had a chance to buy one because they're so expensive. Because to be honest, I'd rather just draw it and then make a sticker. Or make an emoji of the baby servitor if I do make a YouTube membership. That's the only thing I can think of. Because they're just so expensive. I think it's $30 or more. I'm not really entirely sure. They're pretty expensive. Pull back if you do see the explosive shanks. Now make sure you take down the baby cute, adorable, lovable, evil servitor. And then just do precision shots as much as you can. Now one thing I should have done is I should have done a couple shots and then go down to the basement. I'm not sure why I didn't do it right away, so that was my bad for that. You know, excuse me of bad movement there. So if I could just go on the basement and do precision shots as much as I can. See what I should have done over here is I should have went under the basement, do precision shots, and then when I see these ads I just use my super right away, but I didn't really do that so much. It was too late. I think I did use my super, but it was really awkward because the boss was shooting me and all this stuff, but you know, I wasn't really perfect, so excuse my poor aiming and awkward lighting that we see when you're trying to do precision shots in this angle. Yeah, when you are at this spot, the lighting makes it hard for players. Well, not for me, but it does make it. They make it a little bit bright so you can't do the precision shot at the boss. It's like they did it on purpose with the lighting on the game. Like they don't want you to be on that specific spot to do precision shots with a rocket, with a sniper, with a linear. But you know what? Just take advantage of it. You know, it is a nice spot to do damage. Once we do enough damage at the boss, because during this phase, he likes to teleport left, right. And I really don't want to hang around too much at the top building. I do want to make sure I do precision shots so I can deal with 2 more Overload champions. And I don't know why, I always get bad luck. I get the worst luck with the last Overload champion. Every time I do this, I don't know why in other videos. I have watched other videos and the Overload champion is never aggressive with them. It's always me. Always Blitz. they just don't like me. And I think because I always make jokes about the baby servitors in this video, they just don't like me talking about it. So I always do get the first overload champion. But I think the trick to take down these overload champions is you have to take them down really fast. But the problem is it's really hard to do that with a stasis warlock unless I was using an arc subclass, just spamming arc pulse grenades. I could catch them and then just combo it with precision shots with the linear. Then yeah, you know, I could definitely I could definitely take down these overload champions right away. But the problem is I'm using stasis subclass. And the only thing I can use is a combo of Sky Rifle linear. But sometimes the Sky Rifle doesn't consistently stagger the overload champion. So the only thing I can think of is if I was using La Monarch, then this part wouldn't be that bad. I would have taken down these these overload champions fast. Because you might need to take them down pretty fast. Because you're going to have infinite spawns of ads, depending on the timer. Now, I don't remember the time. It's been a long time. I do have my notes somewhere. But unfortunately, I don't have it with me. But I do remember there was a certain time of when all the ads will respawn. During this part, I was risking. I want to take down one of the overload champions as fast as I can. And then during this part, I was low on linear. And there was no way of me taking down this overload champion with these vandals doing these arc seeker attacks. And it was just going to be really awkward. So the best thing I did is I waited for my super so I can collect all these heavy linear fusion rifle ammo so I can deal with the overload champion. So I'm going to do a time skip here and just wait for my super. So I finally got my super, and I was trying to see if I can take down this overload champion just using a scout, but he disappeared. So that's one reason why I just prefer to just collect the heavy bricks. And why La Monarch would be better choice than using Wish Ender if you're using the Stasis Warlock. Now if you're using the Arc Warlock, then Wish Ender away. Because you can deal with the overload champions much more easier. Now someone will argue and say, why not go in the little tunnel? Here's the problem. I did try it, but sometimes the overload champion is not there or he just teleports in front of me. And it's really awkward. On a Arc Warlock, I could just pop my healing rift, and if he's closer to me, I could just throw Arc Pulse Grenade and then use Chaos Reach and then take him down quickly. See, I can't really do that for the Stasis Warlock. You can see here, I went on the tunnel, she's not there, or the overload champion's not there. I pulled back because he's not there. What's the point of standing there if the overload champion's not there? So because overload champion's not there, I don't see it. It's teleporting somewhere, maybe on top of the building, or just being, teleporting left and right, just being a troll. There was just no way of me even dealing this situation because I can't even find the overload champion. Now, one thing I could do is bait the overload champion to go to the basement. I mean, that's another method I could do. I was thinking about going for that method, but then later on, the overload champion actually did eventually pop out of nowhere, and then I just quickly did DPS. Because that was another method I was thinking of doing. Just go under the basement, the ground floor, and then just bait the overload champion so I can take him down from that angle. I mean, I don't like that spot because he can teleport in front of you. I was just losing my patience. I had no choice, but it's just an example of sometimes the overload champion doesn't cooperate with you and it doesn't want to be in the tunnel. I mean, I try to go there. I mean, look over here. I'm looking. I'm seeing this overload champion on that spot because usually it goes to that spot. And, the overload champion's not there. It's not there. And this is why I get the worst luck all the time. Every time I deal with the overload champions, it's always one of them doesn't like me. Every run. Which is why using the, Arc Pulse, you could just catch them and take them down quickly. So the overload champion was teleporting, so I was trying to see if I can take him down. He's just teleporting left, right, left, right. And now I'm going to quickly take him down with the linear. So you can see I'm just spamming my linear because I just had enough with this Overload Champion. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, did you see the Overload Champion? It was just going middle, left, back, left, middle, left, back. Gosh. So annoying, the last Overload Champion. Which is why you have to take them out very fast. Like, quickly. Get it done now, or one of them is just gonna teleport left, right, back, left, front, twirly, dancing, teleporting, quick attack. So once we take down the cute, adorable baby servitor, I do recommend just use all your heavy, use your super if you're using Chaos Reach. I mean, right now I would use my Chaos Reach, but I can't. I mean, how can I even do DPS with Shadebinder? I mean, what can I do in this situation? Alright, so I try to use my super, but it's not working out. I just usually clear ads and then back away and use my healing rift. I mean, that was the only way I could get this done, alright? But once we take down the boss, we got Platinum. And we got the run done. I got Conqueror Seal for this season. Yay. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.